Listen, guys, if what's going on in Maui right now is not enough to show you that the media lies, then I don't know what to tell you. But if you're listening to this channel and you're here with me right now, my name is Jenna. This is Those Fentanyl Left Behind, and we talk about that, and then we talk about world events that are going on right now. And the reason why I'm talking about Maui right now is a huge one. There's a lot of creators that are talking about Maui, a lot of big ones, but there's not a lot of big ones that are talking about Maui. And why is that? And that's simply because they are afraid to get demonetized. And that's sad because if this is not discussed right now, if we don't do something about this right now, I don't think you understand the magnitude of what is going on right now. This is the 9/11 of 2023. It's happening right in front of your face. And if you sit there and don't want to look at the facts and you want to ignore what's going on, it's going to come to your backyard. That's what this is coming down to. It is getting that bad in this country. So here's a few of the anomalies going on that need to be discussed because these are questions. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with having questions. You guys should be pissed off. I am pissed off. You know why? First of all, where is the military in Maui? Where is our military? Why are they not there assisting? Why are military members on other people's videos in the comments saying that they want to go there and help, but they're not allowed to? They're being told by their higher up commands that they're not allowed to go. Something is wrong with this country. If this event does not prove it to you, man, I don't know if there's any hope. I don't know if there is any hope left for the people in this country. You might as well just give up now. Because if they can do it in Lahaina, they're going to do it in your town too. And you think a 15-minute city or a land grab is not going to come to you, just wait. Just wait. It's coming. It's coming. If you allow this to happen, if 360 million people do not stand up together and say, no, we are not going to allow this, and stand up with Lahaina, they're going to take this land. Mark my words, they're going to take this land, and it's not right. And the biggest question is, where are the missing children? We need to discuss this and talk about this and discuss this until we are blue in the face, until we demand answers from the officials who are in charge of this. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The amount of children that are missing and there are no answers. And then the amount of people that are missing and the numbers that are being downplayed. There are so many local people that are saying verbatim that they alone pulled 40 something, 50 something. They saw at least 100 to 200 people, a few hundred people dead in the water. So why is the official number still a little over 100? What is going on? Why are they hiding this? What is going on? This is what we need to be asking, because if you don't ask the questions now, they're going to get away with it. That's what they're banking on. They're banking on the fact that you guys are too busy playing video games and, watching your preseason football sports and the Kardashians or whatever else people watch these days. Guys, wake up. While you are being entertained, your country is being taken from you. Okay? So today, I want to discuss all these points, all these anomalies that are going on in Maui. And, it doesn't even matter how the fire started. And anyone who knows me knows that I like a good conspiracy. I like to figure out what the truth is. But if there's no proof behind it, I'm not gonna entertain it. I'm not gonna discuss it. Is there a few things that, yeah, there could be a directed energy weapon that was responsible. I could see that. The air quality, they're talking about the fire brain or whatever, the PTSD from fire. I've never heard of that in my life. I'm 42 years old. I've never heard of that. I think they're just coming up with excuses, but I wasn't there. And you know what? It really doesn't matter right now. Right now, we need to get these people help. Right now, we need to find out why FEMA is waiting 5 days. And this is according to the locals. This is not what I'm saying. This is not a conspiracy or things that I'm making up, or, I just want to say outrageous things to get attention, get viewers on my channel or something. Listen, these are things that local people in Lahaina are saying. If you don't want to believe me, go to some of the videos and look at the comments, read the comments, watch the videos on TikTok. This is not me saying this. These are locals that are saying this. And some of the biggest points, okay, you have number one, the sirens never went off. Okay, on the website on Maui, which I've done my research, I've done my homework. You can do this for yourself. Go to the website and see it for yourself. Those sirens are supposed to be used for any emergency, a fire, a tornado, a hurricane, whatever. They're supposed to go off in any case of emergency. Now, when they say that they never sounded the sirens because they were afraid that people would go towards the mountains where the fire was, I have a hard time believing that. I have a hard time believing that. When you put all the facts together, it doesn't add up. One mistake is a coincidence. Two mistakes are a coincidence. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 facts that do not add up are not coincidences. I'm sorry to tell you. All right. So you have the sirens that didn't go off, right? You have the water. This is said by locals, was on originally, and then it was turned off later in the day, around between 6 and 7 o'clock in the evening is what they said, that people were watering their houses and trying to spray the perimeter so that the fire couldn't reach their property. And in the middle of trying to do that, the water was shut off. And for the first time in history, that happened. Now, Maui has experienced fires before. This is not a new thing. They don't experience huge fires, but they have had some fires before. And from every local that I've heard from, they have never seen this in their life. Never. The circumstances are something you don't see often and don't add up. So you have the sirens that didn't go off. You have the water that was shut off that should have been on. Now, if you're fighting a fire, you need water to put it out, right? Why would you shut the water off? The reasoning for that seems like BS too. You have no communication, no phones, no cell phones, no internet, no communication whatsoever. So the alerts that should have been sent out via text message were not received. The sirens didn't go off. There was no warning. Okay. Where are the children that were sent home at 9 o'clock in the morning after their parents were at work already? You have a bunch of kids that were home by themselves. Can you imagine? I'm a mom. I have a 2.5-year-old and a 1-year-old. I can't even imagine not knowing where my child is or what happened to them, and then being told the day after, within the few days after, you can't even go back to your house to look for them. But yet, the people who are supposed to go and clear the houses and recover the past are not doing it. Why is that? Why is that? You have the governor's executive order that came out on July 14th. This is weeks before this natural disaster, wildfire, occurred. I'm sorry, but if negligence occurred because you never took care of the infrastructure in your county, in your state, like you should have, all the money that you guys collect for energy costs for electric, and then you don't put it back into upkeeping and maintaining the infrastructure, but the power lines arced and caused the grass to catch. I mean, there's video of it, you know. Am I going to say there was no direct energy weapon used in conjunction with that? No, I don't know that. I'm not there. I don't know that. These fires were said to have started in 3 different places by more than one local, which I heard out of their mouth or saw comments that they wrote on other people's videos. So there was more than one fire. And it was put out at one point, and they were told it was good. And then it started again. But I'll get back to that later. So you have the sirens that never went off, the water that was shut off, no communication. Children were sent home after parents went to work and were home alone, a lot of them. You have the governor's executive order on July 14th that states that in the event of a natural disaster, that they are now allowed to go in and take over the land in that area in historic Lahaina town. They were never able to do that before because there was a committee that oversaw that would never allow any outsiders to buy property because it was 5th and 6th generational owned land. Very sacred. And you have all these developers just in January 2023, no less, that had a meeting that said, hey, you know, we want to build this smart city. We're going to invest $75 million into doing a smart city where AI runs everything, and you know, it's green, and we're going to promote the green initiative, and everything's going to be automated. Well, the people of Lahaina in January did not want that. And they said, no, we're not selling, and we refuse to be a part of that. This is a historic district and we don't want that. And that was only in January. Then you have the governor's order in July, last month, just July 14th, weeks before. That's a huge coincidence, wouldn't you say? I mean, yeah, I don't believe in coincidences, but this is so in your face. You can just tell that time is running short for these people, and they're getting desperate. They're getting so desperate that they don't even care to cover their tracks anymore. They're not even trying to hide it. They're just doing whatever they have to do to get what they want because they don't care anymore. They do not care. Your life means nothing. And these are the people that are running your government. Our government has been taken over by crazy people. And yeah, if we don't do something now, we're in big trouble. So then you have the police chief is the same dude who was in charge of the Vegas shooting in 2017. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. You could not make this stuff up if you tried. The police chief is the same guy as Vegas. I mean, there was so much of a cover up there. You had so many people who were saying there were multiple shooters, and all the people who said there were multiple shooters within the few weeks after the shooting ended up dead mysteriously too. That's super odd. Then you have multiple locals talking about how the cops were blocking and barricading the roads to get out of Lahaina. The cops were blocking the roads. And just a side note, but a lot of locals were saying that there were tourists that were being bussed out of the town earlier that day before the fire started. So, whoever orchestrated this disaster, this accident, made sure that the tourists got out, which is the town and the state's bread and butter. That's how they make their money, is tourism. That's also very highly coincidental to me. I mean, I'm just asking questions. I'm just pointing things out. I'm not saying there was anything nefarious that went on. I'm just saying it doesn't add up. We need to ask questions and we need to look into this. And we need to see what these people are trying to do now since this disaster. Are they going to go in there and really try to take this land from these people? They're already getting offers from developers, which is insane. I mean, you have whole families that were decimated, whole families, generations, and these people are so heartless that they want to come in and try to offer them not even what the property is worth, but less than what it's worth. That should tell you something too. I hope you're paying attention. I hope you're taking notes, because this is bad. This turns my stomach. It really does. Since this happened, I have had the least amount of sleep I've ever had in a long time, even since my husband died, because if the missing children thing doesn't bother you enough, then do you still have a beating heart? I mean, that's what I want to know. Like, that should bother you. If you're not asking questions, then where's your critical thinking skills? This is shocking. It's shocking, and there's no accountability. There's no accountability. You have, like I said, no military coming in to help anyone. When have we ever had a disaster where we have no military coming in to help people? Is that acceptable? Really? Is that acceptable? No, it's not. And you have people who are in the military commenting that they want to go and help, but they're being told from their higher ups that they are not allowed to. Wow. What is going on with this administration? So then you have the locals saying that FEMA went in there. FEMA and the Red Cross didn't get there for 5 days. It took them 5 days to get there, and they left after 4 days. And supposedly the rooms that they were staying in were $1,000 a night rooms. And I saw comments where people were saying, well, maybe those were the only ones available. Okay, maybe you're right. But somehow I have a feeling that's not the case. What's with the news blackout there? Why do we have a lack of our First Amendment right? We're supposed to be able to speak and have freedom of speech. And yet there is a media blackout that is going on in Lahaina and Maui. And we need to know what's going on. We need to hear from the local people there. We don't want to hear from ABC News and Fox News and CNN and all those controlled media corporations that have everything scripted and they have to say what they're told to say. We want to hear from the local people what is going on from them out of their mouths. I don't want to hear from news stations, because you know what they're saying does not match what the news is reporting. And like I said in the beginning, if this is not enough to wake you up, to shake you up, then I don't know what will. I really don't. And you know what? I'm not even the kind of person that enjoys speaking. I'm not a good speaker. I get nervous. But you know what? I am pissed off. What is going on in this country? Why do we not have the aid that we should have, that our tax dollars cover, going to help the 50th state of this country that we're supposed to be responsible for? We have more money an aid going to a different country that starts with a U before we have going to a state in our own country where people are suffering, where they don't have the meals that they need, they don't have water to drink, you know? I mean, it's out of control. They don't have the medication that they need. People with diabetes are not getting the medication that they need. How many people have already died from not having the necessities that they need? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Um, then you have these reports of people who are trying to get in touch with their insurance companies and report to them what's going on and, file a claim and do what they're supposed to do. They're doing all the steps that they were told to do. Call your insurance company, file a claim, let them know what's going on. And as they're filing these claims, what they're hearing back from their insurance company is that due to new zoning laws, that they will not be covering the rebuilds of their property. And I'm not saying this is happening to everyone in Lahaina and in that area, but there's more than one local that's talking about this. All I'm going to say is, who do you think controls the real estate in that area? Is it a company that starts with a BR and a V that controls the real estate, that controls the insurance market? Do you think that the people who want this property don't have the access to take over this whole area in whatever way they need to? They already have this planned. This has been planned for a long time. And just the fact that the police chief is the same guy as Vegas, he brought his own people in underneath him. And then you have the governor, who is not even from Hawaii. And yeah, he's lived there since 2000. Okay. He's been there for 23 years. That's a decent amount of time. But you know what? He was a doctor. He finished his residency there. And then within 4 years, he was elected to the Senate in Hawaii. I would say that happened pretty quick for just being a doctor who finished their residency. I would have to do some financial searching into what is going on there, because it doesn't make sense to me. Why would you elect a non-local after 4 years to your Senate? And then this dude stays in the Senate and he gets, all these kickbacks and bribes and little money that he sticks in his pocket. And then, hey, you're being a good little boy. You're doing what we told you, so we'll put you in the Senate. Is that how it happened? Because a lot of times that is how it happens. And you know what? It's unacceptable. I mean, where is the constitutionalism in this country? I hope you guys are paying attention to all these things that don't add up. Because let me tell you something. If you don't care, if you want to make a comment to me like my friend made the other day, well, I don't live there. There's nothing I could do about it. I mean, yeah, whatever. Really? If this is happening in Lahaina, do you think that it's not going to come to your town, your city, your county, your state? It's going to come there too. If they can do it there, they can do it to your town. They can take your house. They can take whatever they want. And they will. Because you will own nothing and be happy. That's what they say, right? You will own nothing and be happy. And if you don't see what's going on with all these bank closures, with all the food processing plants that are being closed and blown up and mysteriously destroyed, and no investigations, and now Maui and all the other things that are going on that don't add up, If you don't see the big picture, man, I don't know how to spell it out for you. I really don't. I don't know how to spell it out for you. But there is this dad that I was listening to. It was on the Hawa'ii real estate channel. And I'm just going to go over some of the things that he said. I took notes because I'm not a techie person. I don't know how to like add their video to my video and so you can actually listen to what they're saying. But if you want to hear what he actually said, go to Hawa'ii Real Estate on YouTube. And I believe it was Jeremy and Alicia. And they have a family of 5 kids as well. So a family of 7. And they lost everything that had to do with their business, their landscaping business, their home that they had been working on for like 8-9 years, redid the whole thing themselves. It was a 1950s, very historic home in the area. It was the old police chief, the original police chief from the 1950s, and they had taken the time to restore it the right way and really make it look nice. I didn't get to see what it looked like, but just hearing about it, it broke my heart because I love doing renovations and I love doing things myself. I did all the flooring in my house myself, and just hearing how much work that they put into this home and to leave in the way they did, not thinking that they were going to lose everything and only taking a few things, because in Hawaii, I guess they have a lot of evacuations that happen for different reasons, for storms, things like that. And so they really didn't think it was that serious, and they didn't take a lot of the stuff that they did before and, had not needed. And so they lost everything. And this is just one of so many stories, but it's heartbreaking. I cannot imagine that happening to me. I really can't. But here are some of the points that this man talked about that really made me question what is going on there, because it doesn't make sense. It's not logical for a wildfire, for a structural house fire. Okay, so here's what he talked about. So his dad was a high voltage lineman, and he said, yeah, this fire was probably electrically started. Those lines that are on those really tall poles were swaying pretty bad. There's a lot of dry grass in the area, and we now know that we don't know if it was all the fires because there was more than one, but we know that definitely one of them started from an electrical fire. So he lived there for 14 years with his family, and he's never seen wind like that. He was baffled because there were no warnings. He said for every other hurricane that they've had come through or near or close to them, that they've had warnings that would make them pack up pretty much all their paperwork and their pets and, all the super important things. And they didn't even do that this time because they didn't put out those kind of warnings. They made it seem like it wasn't a big deal. He never saw wind like that, even in the hurricanes that have gone by there. So the power was originally off at 4:30 in the morning. Then it was turned back on at 6:30 in the morning, even though it was super windy. The fire started on a 3-acre area for a few hours. That's what he was told by his firefighter friends. He has friends that work in the fire department. And it was contained around 9 a.m. Firefighters went back because they were told that the fire was going again, which made no sense because they never leave fire unless it's completely out, and they know that for sure. When they went back, there was had a hard time hearing that part. I don't know if he said it was a household shed or a house with a shed or some kind of structure that was not in the original fire zone that was then on fire. And he said that made no sense to the firefighters. Locals are saying this is far from a natural disaster. There was no cell service that day, so there were no alerts on their cell phones at all. The fire was contained for a few hours after being put out. But like I said, they got called back and they were baffled. They were like, how did this happen? And yeah, it didn't make sense to them because it wasn't in the same exact area. It was a little bit away from the same area. Cars and bodies, especially the ones on Front Street, were removed without proper investigation. There should have been crime scene tape up around all these structures, around the cars. Nothing should have been removed without being tested. And he said, as far as he knew, there was no testing that he knew of that was being done, which, was another thing that he just found ridiculous, like not normal. Another thing he said was that strangely, photos and videos of that day of the event happening are disappearing off of people's devices, both phones and laptops or whatever they downloaded them to. That says a lot. That because who has the availability to do that? He said he had heard that all the fires on Maui started within a minute to 2 minutes of each other. Kahula, upcountry, Lahaina, which seems statistically impossible, is what he said. Those were his words. 3 different places within 1 to 2 minutes of each other. Very strange, indeed. Roads were gridlocked. Cops were blocking roads. There's more than one local that talks about this, how the cops had the roads barricaded, sending people back into where the fire was coming from. I don't know if that was a coincidence, a mistake, lack of leadership, lack of training. I don't know. I would like to give those police officers and those firemen the benefit of the doubt because I wasn't there. And I'm sure a lot of those people are just normal people who probably lost their homes too. But that is very strange. And it makes me wonder if the cops who did that, if the people who were barricading the streets were actually cops that lived there, or if they had uniforms to look like cops that lived there. You know what I mean? That's happened before. We can't rule that out. He said at 9:30 at night, there was a cop driving by with a bullhorn and he was in a panic. He was like yelling and just telling people to leave, to get out. And that was how they were able to leave their home before the fire came because there literally was no sirens, no warning, no one saying anything, no one doing anything, no communication. Yeah, I mean, if these people had some kind of warning, some kind of siren, whether they would have went towards the mountainside or not towards the fire, it still would have made them hear it and go outside their homes and be able to see that there was smoke, there was a fire. Somebody needs to be held accountable for these things. Somebody does, because it's unexplainable. So this man, Jeremy is his name, I believe. He has experience in forging knives and machetes. And I believe he said it takes about till 2,000 degrees to get to melting point to be able to forge them. And he said all his knives and tools were so bent and so twisted up, which means they were close to melting point between 2,500 and 3,000 degrees. He never heard of a structure fire getting that hot without some kind of accelerant. And, he wasn't willing to say that it was a direct energy weapon or whatever. But he is saying that it's not normal, that we need to question what is going on here. He said that all his propane tanks and neighbors' propane tanks did not explode. So, what were all the explosions that they heard all night? He said that they were up on top of the hill above where Lahaina was at a friend's house, but they can hear all night till 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. They could hear multiple explosions, explosion after explosion, like boom, 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 boom. And he's not the only one. There's a lot of locals. If you go on TikTok, if you go on YouTube and you listen to the first-hand eyewitness testimony of these people, they are all saying the same thing. There are all these explosions. Yeah, a couple of them were probably car fires, car explosions, the gas tanks, but that does not explain all the other explosions. There weren't that many cars that blew up. What were all the other explosions? That was just something that he mentioned. He said the fire went from Lahaina town across the bypass to Wahikuli in the opposite direction that the wind blew. It caught on fire the subdivision that was across the highway, but not the new subdivision that was not across the highway. So he was wondering how that happened. Again, doesn't make sense. He said he has a firefighter friend of theirs that witnessed the fire about face turn and go up a bypass that was all of a sudden, she said. So it was going up a hill and then all of a sudden it stopped and turned and went a different way. When have you ever heard of a fire doing that? I mean, even the firefighter was baffled and stumped because normal fires don't do that. The winds blew through the mountains like they weren't even there. So normally when you have wind blowing through a mountainous area, it breaks up the wind. You have a high area and then you have the low, and when the wind's blowing through there, it breaks it up a little bit. So it's not strong. He said that wasn't happening. He said the wind that was blowing through was one direction the whole time, and it was so strong it wasn't being blocked or impeded by anything, not the mountains, not anything. They are still not being allowed back to their property. They have National Guard on every street, 3 to 4 National Guard on every street to make sure that these homeowners don't go back to their homes. That's concerning. They're saying that it's because of the toxic fumes. Well, why can't they just wear a mask and go look for whatever valuables or belongings they might have left? People have sentimental things that are of value that they want back, and they can even go look through their stuff. But the President of the United States can stand there and give a speech in the middle of downtown Lahaina with no mask and no PPE or protective wear. But the residents can't go back to their home to look for their stuff. That makes total sense. These people are still having to pay their mortgage and their taxes for a property that they can't even go back to. They can't stay there. It's gone. And the people that do have houses left standing are not allowed to go back to theirs either. That's concerning, really concerning. these people where they lived, they said in their particular neighborhood that everyone in their neighborhood was accounted for. They knew that for a fact because they knew all their neighbors. They were a very tight knit community. And he said, even though they knew that and they knew that no one in their neighborhood was a loss, and they expressed that to the people in charge so that they could go back and go through their stuff and their belongings, they were told the reason why they could not go back is because of the recovery effort and because of the toxic fumes. Yeah, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. And I hope you are not either, because the time for being complacent is long gone since this event happened. I hope you realize that. Yeah, this is really bad. And guys, if you don't stand up, there are people that are saying, well, what am I going to do? I don't live there. I don't know what's going on. I don't know anyone there. Guys, I don't either. I live in North Carolina. I don't know anyone in Hawaii. But you know what? I have 2 boys that if something happened to them and I didn't know where they were and I didn't know what was going on, I'd be hurting somebody. And these parents over there have no answers. They have no answers as to what happened to their children while they were at school, while they were working. I mean, while they were working, they got sent home from school. So yeah, if we don't say anything now, this is going to come to a city near you. This is a big test. It's a big test to see who complies with the instructions that are going on in Lahaina. The people there, whether they're just going to do what they're told or if they're going to, try to go back to their homes after being told not to, if they're going to help each other regardless, even though they're supposed to wait for FEMA and the Red Cross. They're trying to see who's going to listen to the orders that are given and who's not, because they're going to use this as a test to what they're going to do to the rest of this country. This is part of their plan. And if you don't see that, then I don't know how to wake you up, because it is that bad. It has gotten that bad. And if they just go in there and take these people ancestral, generational, precious tribal land, if they can do that to that land, you best believe they're going to come for yours. You best believe that you are going to own nothing and be happy. So I hope that you're listening. I hope that this struck a chord with someone. I hope that my emotion is coming through this screen enough for you to speak up and say something. I'm not even a person who likes doing this. This is not my thing. This is not something I want to do, going on social media and YouTube and making videos. But you know what? The time for not talking and doing nothing is long gone. If you want to say nothing, if you want to do nothing, then you are going to be one of those people who are sitting in a 200 square foot apartment with your little computer, playing your video games, getting your UBI, your universal basic income, and staying in your little city like they do in China, where you can't leave unless you have special permission. Because that is what it's going to come to. If you don't see what's going on, then I implore you to please pray and ask God to take the veils off your eyes, to wake you up, because this is a time unlike any other. If you need more confirmation, if you need more verification than what I'm giving you, then go listen to someone like Dave Hodges on the Common Sense Show. Go listen to someone like Steve Quayle or Doug Hagman, or dare I say even Alex Jones. Because at least they will tell you the truth. And they've been telling you for years and years and years, and nobody wants to listen. And Maui is a testing point. It is a test. It's a test to see what the people there are going to do or not going to do. And it's a test to see what the other people in America are going to do about it and say about it. And right now, if 360 million Americans don't come together and say something about what's going on in this country, well, then they're just going to do whatever they want. They're going to take whatever they want. They're going to do whatever they want. And it's going to be at your expense. So, guys, please go do your own research. Don't even listen to what I say. Don't even take what I say as like absolute truth. Go do your own research. Everything I said has proof to it. All right? I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching.